Hi, this is Dr. Pelto here. I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can prevent foot problems, specifically Achilles tendonitis and plantar fasciitis. One of the biggest challenges with both of these conditions, Achilles tendonitis and plantar fasciitis, is caused by tightness. Tightness specifically to the back of the calf. Now, in the back of your calf, there is a tendon called the Achilles tendon, which starts kind of further up near the knee and it kind of works its way down. This tendon isn't typically tight, or actually, I take that back. Everyone typically has a tight calf. The challenge is, as we do more activity, it becomes worse. So what we see with patients with plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendonitis is that they're doing fine. Then all of a sudden they go to Disney, they start walking for exercise, they work out, they increase the intensity, and all of a sudden they start developing Achilles tendonitis and plantar fasciitis. A good example that I like to give is a car. If you're in your car and everything is out of alignment, which kind of equates to having tightness in the back of the calf, and you're doing on a normal highway where you go 30 miles per hour, everything is going to be fine. If you go on the interstate where you're going 80 miles an hour, everything's going to start to shake. And that's the same thing in your body. If you have tightness in the back of the calf and you're not doing that much, if you're getting up, going to work, doing your normal activities, you're going to be fine. If, on the other hand, you start to do more working out, you start going to the gym, you start doing boot camps, you start going from 1 mile to 3 or 4 miles, or you take a trip and you do a lot of walking on that trip, or even change the surface like going to the beach, it's going to spur up other types of foot problems. So what is the best thing that you can do? It's loosening and stretching your calves and the tissue around the back of the calf. In my opinion, the best way to loosen the back of the calf, even before you come to see a doctor, is not just the stretching exercises. You may have seen people where they kind of pushing against the wall and they're stretching their calf, or they're taking their heel and they're dropping it underneath the step. That's not really the best way. The best way, in my opinion, is using a foam roller. A foam roller is something that's versatile, something that everyone has, and you roll the back of your calf. There are certain exercises that you can do with rolling it back and forth and then rotating your foot. That's one way of doing it. The second thing that I recommend is, before you get out of bed, you get a belt and you pull up your foot. It's called a morning stretch. Before you get out of bed, pull up the back, pull up the foot so that it's stretching for a few minutes before you get out of bed. And then number 3 would be a night splint. Now, we have many patients that come into the office and they've tried a night splint. They get those splints that go in the front of the leg. That's not the best one. The best one is the one that goes in the back of the leg. But before you go out and buy one on Amazon, just be careful, because most of the time your insurance would cover it if you saw your doctor for it to get that night splint. I recommend wearing the night splint between 1 and 3 hours. Most people can't sleep with them. Even though they're called a night splint to sleep in, I call them a stretch splint because it's a lot easier to stretch with them. Now, this topic of stretching is important because many people today are very sedentary. We have a sitting job, then we go maybe do some working out a couple of days a week, and then on the weekend we might do a little bit more activity. But if we're sedentary, if we're not loosening things, things are going to get tight. Therefore, when you do your increased activity, it's going to flare up the back of your heels, such as your Achilles tendonitis and your plantar fasciitis. Many people think that their problems are only in their foot, but what we tend to find is that most of these problems come from higher up, like the back of the calf, or maybe even your knee, or maybe even your hip or core. Therefore, we use, in conjunction with therapy or treatment on the foot, we're using physical therapy much of the time. If you want to learn more about this, I have a foot treatment toolkit that I put together that I give out free to all of my patients, and I'm going to be happy to give it to you. I'm going to put that underneath this video where you're watching this, the link to that foot treatment toolkit. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you get better faster.